Latinos Creciendo es el único show de radio de talento independiente en el estado de Arizona que recibió credenciales de prensa para la histórica visita del Papa Francisco a los Estados Unidos de septiembre 22 al 29 del 2015. En Latinos Creciendo estamos formando líderes visionarios y mujeres de éxito a nivel mundial. Motívate, empodérate, crece con Life Coach Aracelis González de McCain.
Aquí comienza su show Latinos Creciendo, con mujer de éxito Life Coach Aracelis González de McCain, el coach de la transformación. Póngase cómodo y quédese con nosotros.
Hello everyone, here I am, ready to begin our show Latinos Creciendo with MUJER-DE-ÉXITO. I am Aracelis González de McCain, life coach, and it's my pleasure to have here in the studio today an amazing person. He is a business consultant. He is the writer of the lyrics of the song The Best of Friends, and he is a poet. So let's say hello to Mr. Stanley Fidel.
Hello. Hello, how are you?
As simple as that. Hello, how are you? Hello, like the song that is making a lot of noise over there with, what is the name of the artist that sings hello?
Adele.
Adele, of course, of course. So I am so happy to have you here in my show today. It's a real honor. Let's begin telling our audience who is Stan Fidel in your own words.
In my own words, well, I am, as you said, I've been called a Renaissance man because I'm a business consultant and I write lyrics and poetry, and I've written a screenplay and a musical play. And interestingly, for a long time, I never told my business clients that I was a songwriter, because I always thought they would think I was too flaky. I was someone that they couldn't rely on to help them make more money. But then I realized that the fact that I'd written a theme song for a major Disney movie was very impressive to them, even if it were in a different sphere of activity, the business. So I tell people that, and they always find that interesting. So that is really my true passion, is to write lyrics, to write poetry, write plays. But when I started my business, it was because I had just recently sold my song to Walt Disney. And they were very happy with it, but they told me that it was going to take 5 years for the movie to come out, because in those days they didn't have computer animation. It was all done manually. So 5 years before I would really start to make any money or get some success. So I realized I better go back to work.
Okay. And what happened next?
And I started my company. In those days, I called it the American Telemarketing Institute.
Wow.
Where I began. I was always a good person on the telephone. So I started my business working with companies, helping them meet more good potential clients or prospects. And I would hire somebody and train them to set appointments for my clients. And here it is now, 36 years later, and I'm still doing that, but we've added a few additional things as well.
Okay, I would ask, what have you learned from your company and your business during these 36 years?
Well, interesting. What I've learned is that everyone is different and everyone is the same. Here's what I mean. Everyone has the same goals. We all want to be healthy. We all want to have love in our life. We all want to be successful, and we all want to be admired. So even though everyone is different, there is a universal aspect to each person, and you can relate to them that way, even if you don't have other things in common with them.
That's very interesting. I heard that sentence for the first time when I just came here to the United States, and it was everything is different and everything is the same, and that really helped me to put my feet on the ground and to move on from there. So that's very interesting to hear the same sentence here in my show today. So congratulations on the successful business consulting that I have over here, because 36 years means something. And of course, is that your passion, or do you prefer doing the poetry and the writing the songs?
Well, I prefer writing songs and poetry and so on, but I enjoy helping people in the business world. It gives me more variety in my life. I like to do different things, and sometimes it's very easy to help people. I mean, you asked me a question earlier, and I have a better answer for you. The question was, what could you do to help me? Mm-hmm. Which is it's a normal question. So one of the things that most people haven't given much attention to is, in 1 minute or less, to say something that would appeal to another person who asks them a question like, what do you do? We call it an elevator talk.
Yes.
Because you could say it in the time it takes to go to your destination on whatever floor. So, for example, if I were to ask you what you do, you might say, I'm a life coach.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. That's what most people would say. I'm an accountant, or I'm an insurance agent, all of that. But I'm going to help make it a better statement very quickly.
Okay.
You'll see.
Okay.
So, as a life coach, let me first ask you, what do you do to help people?
I will help you to bring clarity in your mind.
Okay. And what will the result be of that?
I will transform your life with that.
Okay. So now if somebody asks you what you do, you say, I'm a life coach, and I help people bring clarity into their life that transforms their life so they feel happier and more successful.
Less than 60 seconds.
Right.
Elevator speech.
And now if you wanted to even improve it, you would say, is that something that you might like to know about?
That's very interesting.
Isn't it?
It is very interesting because there is a system for everything. Let's say this is the system I will use to introduce myself from now on.
Good, good. I think it will only be helpful.
It's going to be really, really helpful, so I appreciate that, and thank you so much. Everybody needs a good marketing consulting. So you have been doing this for 36 years, that's the first thing. And the other thing that is very important for me is that you did something extremely amazing, which is writing the lyrics for the song The Best of Friends, which has been heard for millions and millions of people all over the world. And then that is the major song for this Disney movie called The Fox and the Hound. Let's talk about this because that calls my attention. How did you do that?
Well, I'm going to give you the whole story.
Okay, please.
Okay, the whole story.
Please. I was very elegant asking the question, okay?
Yes.
I got the whole story.
You're getting the whole
Thank you.
story now. And I had come to California from Chicago to be a songwriter. And when I first got there, at that time, it was very easy to go see a publisher or a producer. They would talk to anybody. Now that's changed. They hardly talk to anybody.
Yeah.
But so I had some songs I wrote that weren't particularly good. And one day, I went to some place called the Songwriters Showcase. Every Monday night, it cost $1 to go in, and then you could have a drink or whatever, and songwriters would showcase their songs. So I would go there, and usually all I had was that $1. I couldn't afford a drink at the time. And I get very depressed because everybody there was trying to become successful, and they all were much more advanced than I was. They were more successful. But anyway, one time I heard someone come in and he said, I teach people to write lyrics. And his name was Al Kasha, and he had 2 Academy Awards for Best Song in a Movie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, one was for the Poseidon Adventure, and the other was Towering Inferno. He wrote the songs for those. And he said, you know, when you write a song, the words and the music have to go together. So when the words go up, the melody needs to go up. So for example, London Bridge is falling down, falling down. You see, the word goes down and the melody goes down.
Okay.
So I thought, okay, somebody could teach me something. So I took his course, and I learned a great deal about writing lyrics from Al Kasha. He's a great teacher, and I was a good student. I was really desirous to learn. So now some time had passed, and I was writing with different people, and then one person called me that I hadn't talked to in a year, and he said, my father is an animator for Walt Disney, and they've written a movie, and nobody likes what the theme song is. And I said, well, tell me about it. He says, it's about a baby dog, a puppy, who meets a fox, a baby fox, and they don't know that they're supposed to be enemies, so they become friends.
Wow.
And I thought, the best of friends. The dog and a fox. And I haven't really told this to many people, but before coming to California, I had a relationship with a woman who was a professional pianist. She was a great pianist, and she was an African-American woman, and I was white. And we had a stormy relationship, but we also, liked and respected each other. And when I was writing that song, I was thinking of her in a way. And as it turned out, the whole movie is really about racism.
Yes.
So the fox and the hound are from 2 different species or races, and yet they become the best of friends. So that was the underlying subconscious part of writing that song. Now, there's one other factor that I want to tell people about, because as I said, I was a starving songwriter, not having a great deal of success in any way. But I used to go to the church Science of Divine Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy. And he was what's called a religious scientist. And I read his book called The Power of the Subconscious Mind. I actually read his book 7 times.
Okay.
And what the book was about is that you can get whatever you want if you can visualize it. If you can see yourself having the end result and feel the accompanying emotions, you are basically planting a seed in your subconscious mind that will grow and take you to where you want to go. So I accepted this as true, and I used to imagine myself going into a movie theater and sitting way in the back, and I just see the credits come on, and I didn't know what the name of the movie would be, but I would visualize it saying, lyrics by Stan Fidel.
Whoa.
So I did that for 30 days before going to sleep and after waking up. And then after a month, I didn't feel the need to do it anymore, and I stopped doing it. And a month passed, and I got a phone call from a collaborator of mine that I hadn't worked with in a year, and he said, Stan, my dad is an animator for Walt Disney.
What?
They're doing a movie. This is what it's about. Could you try writing a lyric and I'll put it to music? And I said, okay. And the idea of the best of friends came into my mind, and I sat down and wrote the lyrics in 2 half-day sessions.
2 half days. You were ready.
You were ready. I was ready because I had my class without Kasha. Luck is when preparation meets opportunity.
Preparation meeting opportunity. That's
right.
Good luck.
So that was my luck. And so I showed the lyric to my friend. He said, I like it. And he showed it. He set it to music. And he showed it to his father. And his father said he liked it. And they showed it to the producer who liked it. They showed it to the director who liked it. And they showed it to Pearl Bailey. And she said, I'll sing it. And now, the one thing I didn't do when I was visualizing was visualize now. So the movie didn't come out for 5 more years.
Okay.
So that's why I started my business.
But the movie came out and it was a really successful movie. And here I am sitting down. I am so honored in this moment, just having you on my side. I am so emotional about that because first I am just putting into my head in this moment the power of the subconscious mind. I'm going to get that book and I'm gonna read it for the first time because I haven't yet. And then just being able to remember that luck is preparation, meeting opportunity. That's fabulous. Yes. That I am learning that from you today. So thank you so much. Can you please just read on your own words the lyrics for that amazing, beautiful song that is called The Best of Friends?
Yes, I'm glad you asked me to read it and not sing it. Because I only sing when I want to get rid of my company. It works every time. So we want to keep up the audience here. Oh. All right. When you're the best of friends, having so much fun together, you're not even aware you're such a funny pair. You're the best of friends. Life's a happy game. You could clown around forever. Neither one of you sees your natural boundaries. Life's one happy game. If only the world wouldn't get in the way, if only people would just let you play. They say you're both being fools. You're breaking all the rules. They can't understand your magic wonderland. When you're the best of friends, sharing all that you discover, when these moments have passed, will that friendship last? Who can say if there's a way? Oh, I hope it never ends, because you are the best of friends.
Wow. This is so beautiful, and it is so inspirational, and it is so touching. So the interesting thing is that the fox, everybody knows what is a fox. The hound is a little pet, is a little dog. But the interesting thing is, like you said in your lyrics, if the world wouldn't get in the way. Because happened that this dog is innocent. The fox is innocent. They don't understand, like you mentioned before, that they were supposed to be enemies. Then the world takes the dog, train the dog to hunt fox. How can I be a friend with somebody that is going to hunt me? It's not happening yet because they are kids, they are pets, they are babies. But it's us and our prejudices bringing things to a different level. So I really love the inside of the movie. And I love that it's you writing these lyrics. Our credit also for Mr. Richard Johnston. He was one of the writers too, I understand,
he wrote
right?
the melody. He wrote
the melody.
I wrote the words, he wrote the melody.
Fantastic. So all this together sounds really beautiful. And there is a beautiful message in the movie. Now I am combining this genius mind, Mr. Disney, with this genius mind, Richard Johnston writing the melody, and with this genius mind, Stan Fidel, I just love you. Your wife is close to me and she knows what I mean when I say I love you. Is this thing, what if somebody comes to us and tell us right now, you cannot be friends? Bella and Aracelis cannot be friends. We already are. I'm sorry, nobody's going to take us from us. Nobody's going to take that from us. What if somebody comes to us, Mr. Fidel, and they say, oh, I'm sorry, Aracelis and you cannot be friends. We are friends already. And this is the magic of life. So what do you have in your mind to complete this beautiful gift that you brought to the humanity?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I don't really have the best answer, but I can say that listening to you speak about that, you know, if you think about it, the nature of people is to choose friends based on people that they like when they're young and avoid those they don't like. And it doesn't have anything to do with their race or their religion or anything. So if in just listening to this again, there is a universal truth to this, that if people were educated in this rather than to hate people or kill people who are different than they are, it would bring peace to the world.
It will.
Right. Which, you know, at one point that was one of my goals, to be someone who could promote peace in the world. And then frankly I gave up on it. It just seems like it's too hard to do with crazy, you know, if you look at all the atrocities taking place and people who want to impose their religion or their values on others. But it's still possible. It is, I mean, because if you look at a child, just like a baby fox or a baby hen, if they are given different environment, different teaching, they don't have to hate each other.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Everything, the peaceful thing begins with every single individual. So if I keep my peaceful state of mind, I am contributing to the world peace. So that's the way to fight against everything that is different than peace. But you are business consulting, very, very successful one, songwriter, very successful one. How many people do you know personally that have written something for Disney? I am just close to one, so this is my honor. And now let's talk about poetry, because I understand you brought some poems for us today, and I really want to enjoy that. So let's talk a little bit about the poet.
Okay, well, poetry is really my first love, and just before going into it, I want to say one more thing. How I started writing songs was, I was in Chicago and listening to the radio, and John Lennon's song "Imagine" came on.
Okay.
And I thought, oh, I could do that. I realized it was actually a poem. Of course, I totally underestimated how difficult it would be to break through, but that was my initial inspiration to write lyrics. But looking at different poems that I wrote, this is one that I was inspired to write this basically after, it's the only political poem that I wrote for many years, but Martin Luther King was assassinated, and before him John F. Kennedy and his brother were both assassinated.
Yeah.
So I wrote this poem called "America Recovered," which is really an ironic title, as you'll see. In the cemetery lie 3 men, and you have let them die again. Hero, head of state, his brother, and the civil rightist other. All three assassinations, all three linked to another. Shed your tears on tombstone roses, shift your feet in graveside poses, then forget as fast as they bled, and bury the truth with the dead. Political execution never stops at just one head. The new martyrs know who's dying, hear them sigh through their denying. Country killers free from before have fresh license to murder more. 3 leaders have been slaughtered, and they've quartered number 4. When the high and the honored lie, they set the nation's mold to die. When the truth stays wrapped and covered, no accomplices uncovered. Are there fools enough to say, America recovered?
Irony. It's very interesting. So, what is the process that you use to write a poem?
You know, the process really is that I write down what I want to write about in prose.
Okay.
I write it down, and then I look at it, and then somehow I hear a line, usually that comes to my mind, and then I write that line, and then I just let it take me on to the next.
Okay.
You know?
So we were talking in other shows about the connection.
Mm-hmm.
The artist has some kind of connection with something spiritual and something very deep inside. And it is like, again, preparation. You are prepared, you get this idea, and then you follow and you go with the flow through that idea, right? And it looks easy when we listen, but or when we listen that you took 2 days to write the lyrics for The Best of Friends. Sounds easy, but it wasn't 2.5 days. It was from the very beginning when you went to take the classes, and then the time between, and then the final result. So we have another poem. What is this other poem about?
Well, this is really, I probably should have read this first, because it's about the difference between poetry and lyrics.
Okay.
And I made the comparison. You know, for a long time, I was a little bit an elitist about poetry compared to lyrics. I thought songs aren't so good or important as poems, but I realized after writing them how difficult it is to do it, and how a song has advantages, because when you hear a song, you don't think. It just comes right into your head, and you accept it or you don't.
Yeah.
So I wrote this poem called Checkers, and it's the difference between checkers, the game of checkers, and the game of chess.
Okay.
So, you know, checkers just has a few moves, but it can be very complicated. And chess has a number of different pieces that move differently, and it is complicated. So the illusion is that chess is more advanced than checkers, but not necessarily. So the game of checkers is deceptively simple. The pieces only move forward and back. The game of chess is more intricate. Each piece has separate rules of attack. But there are checker players who have mastered strategies of the game, and in a seemingly easy manner, they always win and never strain. Some lyrics are like checkers, poems are like chess. Lyrics have simple words and thoughts. Poetry is more complex. I learned to love the beauty of a song. The melody slides the words past your brain. Feelings you forgot well up, with no necessity or thought to explain.
So, what is coming to my mind in this very moment is the shorter the poem, most difficult to write. Makes sense or not necessarily?
What was the first one?
The chores, the poem, because sometimes it's easier like to do a dress for an adult than for a little girl.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a short poem, but we can find and we can feel the consistency in this poem. So what is easier for you, to write a short one or a long poem?
Oh, it's not the only more difficult part of a long poem is that you spend more time with it.
Okay.
But the idea of both is what I like about it. It's saying a lot in a few words. So that's the challenge of it, to have a deeper thought, let's say, that you can express in relatively fewer words. And with a poem, there's also the sound of the words. Mm-hmm. So it's the idea and the sound and the rhyme, and not having, the worst thing about the way children are taught in school is they hear roses are red, violets are blue.
Okay.
Flowers are pretty, and I love you. So everyone grows up thinking that's how you write a poem.
Okay.
But the rhyme is secondary.
Okay.
The craft, the skill of writing poetry is that you can find a rhyme, but it's not an obvious one, and it will just sound beautiful with the rest of the words. That's the real skill of it.
How interesting. And we have some minutes to read the third poem.
Okay, so this third one, I give you a choice.
Let me just see.
Okay, here's this one.
Okay.
It's about being a poet.
Okay, poet's poem.
And the other one is about an experience blossom in me.
Okay. So I am interested in the poet's poem.
Okay.
Mm-hmm, thanks.
Okay. So this really reflects the idea that there's not a whole lot of money made in writing poetry.
Okay.
You can't, unless you're a professor of English who does something like that, you can't really earn a living, or maybe if you're the poet laureate of America, you can. So anyway, and the thing about what most poets do is they either find a career where they write something else that's not poetry, but they make money, let's say, writing advertising or writing novels or whatever. Or the other kind is the kind that does something totally different. Mm-hmm. So they keep the two separate, okay? So poets have to live outside of words. Few earn many dollars from their rhyme, and rarely do Cadillacs come in return for verse. So I'm a traveling salesman in my other line. It is in fact indigenous to the craft to daylight labor at survival tasks. Two styles came alive in my problem for life. For purity of gift, some cleave a world between their art and how they thrive, like medicine man Williams, banker Elliot, lawyer Stevens, and split the fee with their identity. Others are not so fine to sanctify the poet's task and contiguously labor near their skill, like copywriter Crane, teacher Auden, playwright Gibson. Self stays intact, talent in compromise. Myself chose a split to salesman, poet. Yet what makes a poet is indifferent to how he provides. It is his plural capability to tell a whole thick-laden story in a single line of nice words that sometimes even rhyme.
How wonderful to have here with us in my studio to stand Fidel, this wonderful person who believes in romanticism, he believes in creativity, and who has been able to create opportunities for other people to be successful in business and in person. I thank you personally for the opportunity to have you here in the show, and I thank to the audience for the opportunity to reach you through this show and enjoy this romantic afternoon with my guest today. So it's time for us to say bye.
Bye, it was a pleasure.
Pleasure is all mine. So here is what I treasure today. I am life coach Aracelis Gonzalez de McCain. I bring clarity to your mind and I help you to transform your life in success, bringing you into action. Is this something you would be interested in? That's a question. So please contact me, calling me to 602-214-7428. Thank you so much. Radio de talento independiente en el estado de Arizona, que recibió credenciales de prensa para la histórica visita del Papa Francisco a los Estados Unidos, de septiembre 22 al 29 del 2015. En Latinos Creciendo estamos formando líderes visionarios y mujeres de éxito a nivel mundial. Motívate, empodérate, crece con Life Coach Aracelis González de McCain.
Hemos llegado al final del show favorito de los latinos que están creciendo a lo largo y ancho del mundo. Nuestra cita es el próximo martes de 4 a 5 de la tarde, hora Arizona, Estados Unidos. Los esperamos.